Hey guys, welcome to Outcome School. So today we will cover 4 machine learning terminologies that we have right now in front of the screen: epoch, batch size, and iterations. So let's begin with the learning. So first try to understand the training process. So whenever we train the model, right? So there we pass two very important parameters, which are epoch and batch size. Otherwise we pass input, output. So those things we pass, right? We already know. But two important parameters that we pass here are epoch and the batch size. So in this model, we feed the training data so that we can train the model and then we can use the model for the prediction. And as you can see here that we have this data set, and in this data set we have the x as an input and y as the output, and for the simplicity we have taken only 10 samples in this data set: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. And for all of these input we have the true output, that is the y, which is given here. So we have 10 samples in this data set. So that is very important that we have considered for this particular video for better understanding. So we are ready with the sample data set, and now we will try to understand the terms one by one. So our first term is epoch that we want to understand today. So the definition of epoch, as you can see on the screen, one complete pass of the entire data set through the model. So here we have the model that we are training, and here we have the data set, and as we have taken 10 samples in this data set, so the meaning is that the model has seen the entire data set once. That is the meaning of epoch is equal to 1. So one complete pass of the entire data set through the model. So the entire data set has been seen by the model, means the model has been trained on the entire data set. So that is the meaning of one epoch. So here one thing is very important to observe is that if the model has only seen the entire dataset once, the model is getting trained, but it will have some decent weights after the training process. So it will not be able to predict with the better accuracy. If you want to increase the accuracy, improve the accuracy, in that case we will have to feed the entire data again into the model. So for that we will consider next epoch, and that is what we call it epoch is equal to 2. So it has to be trained on the entire data set again and again and again, so that it can have some decent weights in the future after the training process, and it can predict with better accuracy in the future. So for that we will have to feed the entire data set again into the model. So for the actual scenario you will consider epoch is equal to 30, 40, 100, 1000, like that. So we will feed the entire data set into the model again and again and again, and that will lead to the better weights and hence the better accuracy for the prediction. So this is how we will train the model with epoch is equal to some good number, like maybe 30, 40, 100, 1000, like that in the actual scenario based on various factors. So here as you can see we have considered epoch is equal to 2. So one time we are feeding the entire data set, epoch is equal to 1, and then again we are feeding the entire data set into the model. So that is called epoch equal to 2. So when we have the epoch value 2, the model will see the entire data set twice. That is the meaning of epoch. So this is all about the epoch. Now we will move to the next term, which is batch and the batch size. So let's try to understand this now. So for this, first we need to understand why we need the batch, because we cannot feed the entire data set into the model because machines will have some constraint like memory constraint. So we need to divide the data set into the chunks so that we can feed the data into the chunks, and that is what we are calling it as a batch. And for that first we need to understand about the batch size. So batch size is the number of training data in one batch. So here we have considered that batch size is 2. So it means we will divide the data into multiple batches. So if we have decided that our batch size is 2, so in one batch we will keep 2 samples only, right? So this is the first batch. So batch is a subset of training data processed together. So batch is a subset of training data processed together. So this is one batch. This is another batch. This is another batch. This is another batch. And this is another batch. So now what we will do, we will feed one batch at a time into the model. So the training data is split into the smaller groups, called batches, and the model processes one batch at a time. So this we will feed into the model, and then this, then this, then this, and then this. So once we have decided the batch size, accordingly we can calculate the number of batches based on the number of samples that we have in the entire data set. So here we had 10 samples in the entire data set. That is why based on the batch size 2, the number of batches will come 5. So this was all about the batch and the batch size, and next we'll discuss about the iterations. So now we'll discuss about the iteration. Iteration means processing one batch of data through the model. Processing one batch of data through the model. So here, as we have taken the same example again and again for the simplicity, x and the y, right? And here let's say we have considered 2 as a batch size. So here we have one batch. Similarly, we will have another batches. So we are considering one batch here that we will feed into the model. So this is the one batch, right? So when we feed this one batch in this model, so in that process, the model will get trained and it will update its own weights. And that complete process is called one iteration. So one batch into the model, and the model will get trained based on that batch, and it will update its own weight. And that complete process is called one iteration. So for the batch size of 2, having 10 training data samples, it will take 5 iterations to complete one epoch. So basically, in one epoch, we will feed 5 batch, right? For each batch, we are saying one iteration for the complete process. So 5 batches, 5 iterations in one epoch. So that was all about the iteration. So now let's discuss everything all together. So here we are considering epoch 2, batch size 2, number of batches per epoch will be 5 because the batch size is 2, because in the data set we have 10 samples. So that is why this 5 number. And based on the number of batches, we can say the iterations per epoch will be 5. As we have learned, one batch processing is called one iteration. So the iterations per epoch will be 5. So here we are saying that we will have 2 epoch, right? So 2 times this model will see the entire data set. So here we have the batches 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So these are the 5 batches in the first epoch. Similarly, in the second epoch as well, we will have 5 batches. So this is how we will train the model based on epoch is equal to 2. So the model will see the entire data set twice, as we can see here. So this was all about epoch, batch, batch size and the iterations. So that's it for now. I will see you in the next video.